What's up, y'all? It's your boy Brent, and in this episode, I got to sit down with a gentleman by the name of Brandon Melton. Some of you might not know who Brandon is, but he's been around this industry a long time, and he is the Region 3 team associated team manager, and he's a racer, a dad. Just a really good talk, just a regular, down-to-earth, good dude, and he likes to drink beer. So this was during the Fall Brawl weekend, and he was, trying to win that elusive Fall Brawl Nitro trophy. So, we had a good talk. I hope you guys like it. Listen, watch, share. See you soon. One of the ones that got the sync going on. So this is episode number 5, Wheel and Trigger. It's me, Brent, and this is Brandon Melton. What's up?
That's me.
So I was stoked when I asked you if you wanted to be on, and you said yes, because sure. I know someone that's been in this hobby and industry and been around as long as you have in this.
Right.
You're going to have some great stories.
25 years worth.
So that, to me, is worth every minute we spend, because when I first started this, and the concept of this podcast was to do like video at campfires after races or whatever, and I had a name for it, but I got to think, I was like, bro, if we're sitting around a campfire and I put my phone up and everyone sees that I'm videotaping them, the stories aren't going to come out.
Sure.
They're going to sit back and they're going to be like, I can't say that. I can't expose that person. But I started thinking, I was like, but we don't got to say names,
right.
We go into a story, we just talk about what happened, and I was with this guy, and he's a famous racer or whatever. No, yeah. People can use their imagination,
I'll tell you who it is.
Even better. So we're at the Fall Brawl, and you're in town for the brawl. How's your weekend going?
Good so far. Was able to TQ overall the 40+ Nitro Buggy class,
which is very stacked
this year.
Oh my gosh,
for sure. I mean, there's always fast guys.
Yeah,
for sure. But this year, I think there's been a couple guys who have turned 40 recently. So you add them in, and the same guys that have been running it for 3 or 4 years now before I joined it, are still there. They're still fast. A couple of them are missing, so I mean, I think it could have been, even deeper. But it's we were joking the other day with KB, and it's like, our main, it's like we just hit the rewind button. We're gonna still race, we're gonna race hard, we're gonna race fun, but it's like we just go back to 2010 and reset the main of the brawl from 2010,
which was the A main of like Pro Buggy or
right.
whatever back then.
Right. Yeah, myself, Jason Smith, those guys, just. KB and the crowd just duking it out in the mains, and before all of the Coles and the Spencers and the Evan Vales, they're running around in elementary school, and we're out here, throwing down for wins. So, but that's always fun. And then Pro Nitro Buggy was able to get in the main this year, so there was a string of years where I never missed a main for Pro, and then naturally as the race grew, the paid pros, as you call it, more and more of them started showing up. So then it was like, B main racing with the old A main guys. So,
right.
Naturally some of the guys that are, have been here in the past aren't here this year, which, for whatever reason. So, but still it took 3 clean runs to get in. It's still no easy walk in the park. So
not a gimme for sure.
Yeah, for sure. So, it was, pretty wound up about that. Looking forward to tomorrow. And then e-buggy still a little bit of a struggle. I just haven't put enough time in recently. Been a long time since I've driven one. So still in the main, shot at a podium. Don't think I got a shot at a win in that. So keep working on it.
Is some of those fast kids you were talking about in that in both buggy?
Well, this is
classes?
40+ e-buggy.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I mean, I've got a big spread between what I've been able to do in Nitro and what I've been able to do in e-buggy. And I think a lot of it's just time, and a lot of it's just me personally wanting it as much. So
Right.
when you kind of set it to the side and you don't want to look at it, don't want to work on it, it shows. So
I'm a prime example of that.
I've either got to make the choice that I want to take it serious and put the time in to get it right, or just stick to nitro. And really the only reason I brought the e-buggy for a third class was with my son, Tyler, not being here. So
you have the time.
He had the time. Yeah. It's still 2 cars to maintain if I maintain the e-buggy.
Right. I feel like that's kind of been for me when I was doing both. My problem was I kind of neglected it, and I didn't like it as much. It's always good for track time. It's great for learning the layouts. Like when you first get there, you don't have to worry about pit man, drop it, go. But I've just come to the conclusion that electric's for 10 scale for me and nitro is for A scale, and that's what I want to run.
I can see that. I mean, I kind of agree.
But if you're only an A scaler, then having more classes when you go to these big entry races is, it's vital. You don't want to sit around all day.
Yeah, I put a tire on my car the last round of e-buggy that I would have never done and sacrificed the potential of a good run in nitro. And it is kind of that bastard class for me. Not saying in general, not discrediting anybody that runs it, but for me, it's kind of that. If I throw it out there and waste a run, then I can live with that. I can sleep at night, So
yeah, we were talking. Well, how did you end up in e-buggy anyway? You said you made
6th or 7th. Yeah, 6th or 7th. So
40 plus.
Never say never.
Yeah,
I mean, I get a good start, get in the groove, feel it. Things can happen, but. Podium, I think's a possibility to win the race. Long shot, probably. So.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think of the layout?
It's not my favorite Badlands layout, and I think the only reason for that is what we're used to when we come down here is a little more open, faster race the cars you're racing against a little bit. The layout is fun to drive, don't get me wrong, but I think what it reminds me of is if you took a tent scale track out of an indoor building and just made it a little bigger,
like
put it outside.
You pull the corner and stretch it out.
Yeah, so an indoor track's typically shorter chutes, shorter straightaway, a jump into a corner, and then a jump right out of a corner, that kind of thing. So it's a lot of up down jump then turn, up down jump then turn, versus kind of, I think for the past, 17, 18 years I've came down here, it's been a little more high speed, a little more, a few bigger jumps, not just the one big double, but like always 2 to 3 signature jumps kind of thing. So don't get me wrong, it's fun to drive. Yeah. It's just not really, when you come to Badlands, what you think you would have been coming to Badlands to see, if that makes sense.
Monty and them had a style of tracks that they were known for. And that Fall Brawl became, or just the Badlands period, became known for.
I mean, the name, Badlands RC Supercross. So when you hear the Supercross part of it, I think this layout's a little less Supercross-esque and more technical-esque.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Yeah, Bobby Moore put this one in, and it served its purpose. It's done really good. The RCGP was good. I think this race is going good. But I know what you're saying. Yeah. I enjoy it. I could see where I could like some different features than it has. Yeah. Not to make it easier or anything, just
it's fun to drive. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like you're racing the track because everything is so technical that if you're a foot or two out of that one lane groove, your next jump's not set up. Then your next jump's not set up. So it's more of race the track and don't give up the line versus race the competitors because there's more room to put a pass on somebody.
That and you're battling all the character. I mean, there's so many rough patches in certain areas that you have to dodge.
Yeah, I mean, I think everybody in the past has come to a custom of Badlands or quite honestly, you could expand that into the Southeast, right? Everywhere you go in the Southeast, it's all about roll it in, sugar it, calcium,
smooth,
fast, high grip, and while that's fun, I don't not have a good time when a track gets character in it.
No.
Just because it's the same track for everybody.
100%.
If I have to miss the rut or drive through it or pick a tire, change a shock, whatever you got to do, I mean, everybody here has the exact same track to race on. Right. So
no, I
throw that, bitch out the window.
Yeah.
You know, that's nothing to complain about to me.
No. And I think you're right. I would tell people the same thing. Everyone's got to race it. You know, if this guy's doing 24s and you're doing 26s, it means you can do a 24. You're just not.
You're just not. Right.
That guy is, so
Yeah.
it's possible. You know, so
Yeah.
figure it out. You know, don't whine about it. Just do it.
And maybe it's him. I mean, at the end, at the
100%,
end of the day, Evan Vale could let me drive Evan Vale's car with his tire, his setup, hell, even his radio. I'm not going to run the lap that Evan Vale runs.
Right.
You know, I don't only mention Evan, you
Yeah.
know, because he's got my same car, right, and he's doing fast laps. You know, but you know, Jake Stykeleather was fast today. Just because I drive Jake's car doesn't mean I'm going to run 24.3. You know, compared to my 24.8.
Right.
It's probably me.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way you can hand me any of those cars, and I'm going
Right.
to do anything that's 2
Right.
seconds. You know,
Yeah.
I'm going to be off.
Yep.
No matter what.
90% driver.
So you come from the on-road background, though, right? Like you started in on-road?
No, I didn't start in it.
Okay.
I did it a while.
Okay.
But no, I started 10th scale electric off-road. First track I went to was the Grove in Rock Hill, South Carolina. You know, the long story short of how I got into RC is, you know, myself and Chris Pace. A lot of people don't know this. They see us as track buddies, right? And we have been forever. But Pace and I grew up one street away from each other.
Okay.
So we were like neighbors for all intents and purposes. So, you know, we hung out together as kids before RC was ever known about. So we, a third friend of ours who just never got into racing got a ready to run car for Christmas one year. And then me and Pace were like, damn, that's cool, man. You know, where'd you get that? How much was it? You know, how fast does it go? All that stuff, right? And then not only that, but like, oh, it's got shocks. And he's driving in his backyard and like jumping the tree stumps and roots and stuff like that. So like, you know, that was how it all got started. I got one, Pace got one. The three of us, you know, goofed off at the house. And we built a small little track at Pace's grandmother's on the side of her property. And we started having fun doing that. And then it was cut grass to go buy a faster motor, cut grass to buy another battery. We were racing before we could drive ourselves to the track. So we found the Grove down in Rock Hill. We'd go down there on Friday night. Either his mom, my mom, somebody would drop us off. And then we'd, you know, before cell phones, we'd go in the shop, call home. Hey, we're about to race. Be here in 30 minutes. And they'd come pick us up. And then it just, from there, you can imagine, I mean, you learn about the next track that's an hour and a half away, and then this track's an hour and a half away, and then you get your driver's license after mom says she's not driving you an hour and a half to go race, you know. So, you know, didn't start out with it doing it with parents, you know, never had the dad at the track. It was just me, myself doing 10th scale. And what was that, 94, 95-ish. So just did 10th scale until probably the earlier 2000s. And then I think it was 03-ish, 04, got into some touring car because there came about some tracks near us. And, yeah, just did that for probably from 2003 to 2007-ish. You know, it doesn't sound like a long period of time, but for those 4 years, I mean, I was hitting it pretty hard.
Now,
traveling, local stuff.
If my memory serves me right, you won some national championships in touring car? Or?
TQ to national, didn't win it. Won the Snowbirds one year. Yeah, just
which is a national, really.
Yeah. I mean, a few big events did really well, and by running well and on road is where I met Brent Telke, and I got on with Associated for the on-road touring car side of it. And then, you know, that's all she wrote from 2006 until now. So as far as Associated goes.
So from 2006 till now, I mean, you've been with them.
Yep.
10 years. Like you've been there with them forever.
Yeah. So what's that? 16 years.
16 years. So let's go back to your buddy who got the ready to run for Christmas or birthday or whatever. What was your first RC car?
I think it was a Kyosho Ultima.
Yeah.
I think Ultima was the series at that time. I'm pretty sure.
So you didn't buy like it
wasn't a kit built
or something like that, or
no. Pace did have a Grasshopper.
Mm-hmm.
Was I think their car back then, and I had the Ultima, which was ready to run, and it had the mechanical lever speed control, not electronic speed control.
Oh, no, they didn't.
So, I mean, we would go out and run these things hours on end, and then all of a sudden think, why the hell does it quit running? And I didn't know how to work on them. You know, Mom would have to drive me up to the hobby shop, and I'd put it on the counter and say, hey, dude, like, my stuff ain't working. Right? And then the guy would say, oh, the speed control's burned up. I'm like, well, it did that. And he goes, well, they just burn up, man. Like, they don't last forever. Well, how much does that cost? You know, you tell me, and I'm like, damn, I can't fix it today.
Like 4 yards.
And I got to go back and figure out, as a 14-year-old, how to scrounge up, you know, whatever it was, $40, $50 or whatever.
Right.
You know, and then I could go back, get it fixed, and go home and start playing again. So
that's awesome. So what got you into off-road, like after touring car? What kind of made that transition again?
Really just the industry a little bit. Not that it died off, but it started to slow. And the biggest, that was part of it. The biggest key factor was Associated released the RC8. So the fact that I ran for them and they released a car, you know, a lot of the guys that I ran tent scale off-road with in the earlier 01, 02, 03 never left off-road and had graduated to 8 scale. I call it graduated just because it seemed like at the time the tent scale racers would still dabble with the gas truck and have fun with that. But 8 scale was this market and tent scale was this market. It didn't cross over. Tracks didn't cross over, that kind of stuff. So when they released the RC8, I was like, well, here we go. You know, this is I'm gonna jump in. I'm gonna do it, and you know, from there on, it just stuck. So
I mean, I know that you've had 10 scale cars since, but you've really, like, 10 scale kind of went out, for the most part, out the window at that point.
Yeah, I would run tent scale if there was a close place to do it. You know, Carolina's RC had a facility for a while. Did a little bit at Speed RC. You know, I've been down to your track a few times, that kind of thing. And it was always like the 2 to 3 races a year, not a lot of focus and club race. It was more so just because, you know, Racing Friends still had one. And you know as well as I do, it's about the experience of going to a race and being around your race buddies, just being around the track.
Yeah. It's always silver bullet.
We want to do well. Like, we want to do well. Don't get me wrong. But I always held a little bit of a lower expectation that if I don't do well at this race, I have an excuse for it in a sense that I just don't do it very much. And to be honest with you, at that point, everything was still dirt.
Yeah.
If I had to say right now, could I take a choice of going to an indoor carpet track to race off-road or a dirt track, I'm going to pick carpet because in my older age now, time is less available. The will to put every spare minute into a racing program, especially with, you know, kids and sports and just everything going on, you know, carpet, it's one set of tires. I know indoor it's typically one compound, but like when it's, now that manufacturers have started making slicks, it ain't that big of a deal. But nothing used to drive me up a wall more than going somewhere and
brand new
and I'm looking at that, and I'm looking at what the fast guys do to go fast on dirt, and it's like, I don't have that commitment.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. Like, I got no problem working on my car. I don't want to work on tires.
Yeah.
Screw that. You know,
I'll tell you right now.
That ain't race. Like, to me, that ain't racing. And in any form of racing, it's tires. I get it.
Yeah.
But to make them slick, no big deal. But okay, now that they're slick, what do you do? And at the time, it was put this certain chemical on it, and then you chuck them in a drill. And whether you use a Brillo pad or a sander or whatever it is. And I know I'm kind of the pot calling the kettle black because racing sedan, we used to put brand new tires on a truer and true them down.
Yep.
But that was a 30-second process per tire. You know, it wasn't the having to manually grind it down. You put it on the truer, you hit the button, and it ran back and forth. You took it off, and you put another one on there. So I could live with that. It was quick and easy.
Yeah.
But, you know, carpet for me, it's just you put the tire on it and you go race, and everybody's the same. Maybe not the same setup, but it's the same tire, the same carpet, the same day.
It is, but
I got beat by that guy. Not my tires weren't as good, or I didn't prep them the right way, or he's using the green dot sauce, I'm using the yellow dot sauce, and he's using a whole different brand sauce, and he's using liquid wrench, and he's using that. Like, to me, pisses me off.
It's a mess. Two things. Number one, if I could turn Beach RC into a loamy off-road track that you had to run pin tires, I would. But For number one, my dirt won't, because you step on it and you have to retill it.
Sure.
And number two, the mess it would make, and it just we really can't afford that kind of. It's already a little dusty. It makes it tough, and I understand why people don't do it, but the prep game is so like I hate it. Of course, we sell a lot of it. We profit from it, and people always say, "Why don't you outlaw it?" And it's like it's a simple answer. You reward the cheaters. If you outlaw prep, people are going to cheat.
You're going to prep at home on Tuesday night. For the Wednesday night race.
Right, and I don't have time to impound tires so that I know that when they show up, that their tires are going to be legit. It's not worth it. So instead of, going through that process, it's just easy enough to say, whatever, at your own risk, Yeah.
Well, and just be honest, even though it's a pain in the ass, it's more fun to drive with traction. I mean, just think about it. Would you rather go through the hassle of all the prep and be able to pull wheelies and drive your car, or would you rather not prep
and the racing suck?
And the racing suck.
Yeah, and you're beating yourself in the head the whole time. I agree.
Catch 22, right?
It is. But for me, it's the chemical side of things that I hate. The fact that,
can't be healthy.
It's not. I mean, we all know it's not healthy. None of us would put that stuff on our hands on a general at home doing something in the garage. You would wear gloves or whatever, and most of us are careless when it comes to it. You're just like, screw it, rub it in. It's even worse in oval. I mean, the dirt oval stuff right now, the stuff they're using, it's nasty, man, and I hate it. And I remember one time having to tell a mom, she was asking me why we were doing it, because I was helping her son and I was putting some prep on his tires, and she's like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Honestly, I don't know." She's like, "Well, why are you using a brush, or why do you have gloves on, or whatever?" And I was like, "Because it's really not good." And this kid wants to do it, but the mom's looking at like, why do we have to? I don't really want my kid doing that. And you're like, well, he has to if he wants to be fast or go good. It's terrible for the industry.
Yeah, make his dad put it on. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's not good. Yeah. I wish there was a better way. And like you said, the built slicks that are already pretty good, we still have to prep them. They're getting better. Like it is getting a little better.
Yeah. So to prove my case about it's all about the tire in indoor off road. So we used to have a track up near Greensboro-esque. A couple seasons it was open. I don't know why it shut down, but nonetheless. So Rob Meyer, longtime 10-scale racer. There were several of us that we would go up there and we'd have some really good races, right? Everybody was pretty close. Again, ground down slicks. They weren't being produced at that time. It's probably 6-7 years ago. I mean, not yesterday, but not back in the heyday of running pin tires. And closed cell foams had sort of just came out at that time, but hadn't been perfected. They weren't really consistent, if that makes sense. So everybody was running the 2-stage Trinity foams, gray with the white on top, and that seemed to be the best, right? So Rob Meyer took pool noodles, the hard, dense foam, literally pool noodles, cut them down to 10th scale size, cut out the inside so it fit over the rim, profiled them, and because that pool noodle was the same, like his tires were always the same, like left to right, front to back, all that kind of stuff. And we went from like all of us being close, some good racing, to like in 10 minutes, he lapped all of us. Just a straight ass kicking like you've never seen. And when I heard that you had to take pool noodles and hand make inserts, I was like, this shit ain't for me, dude. Yeah. Like
you said, that's commitment.
Ain't nobody got time for that scenario, right? It's like, here we go. More reason that the outdoor game is for me, But that was like a Wednesday night deal. Right. I didn't go up there, serious on the weekend. It wasn't, big titled trophy races. This was, for me, like the club racing weeknight stuff. It's competition, it's racing, but that's more your settled down fun night.
Some people shoot pool, some go bowling, whatever. We race one night a week or whatever. That's how we hang out with our buddies after work one night a week.
That's not my golf round for money. Right. That's your golf round that you go out and just have fun.
You're already drunk before you even hit the cart.
Yeah, you still want to play well and be competitive. If I shoot 85 and my buddies normally shoot 85-ish, we expect to be able to play each other to a good round of golf. And then when one guy goes from shooting 85 this weekend to shooting scratch golf the next weekend, and it's like, because you see, I don't know if that's a good analogy, but you see, all of a sudden it went from we're all right here to like we have no chance unless we do that.
It'd have been different if somebody that wasn't racing there, that you race against all the time, showed up and waxed all your asses, but somebody you can compete with.
Right.
So now you have to do all that work to compete with a guy you can compete with.
If I don't do that, I'm out to lunch.
Right. And I'm with you, dude. It drives me nuts.
I was
man.
like, nope.
I get to the point. I mean, I took a couple years off because I was getting so competitive with myself. It was in my head. Mm-hmm. And when I would do bad, not that I would get mad at myself, but I get frustrated, and I'm thinking like I don't have the time to waste on bad energy and doing. It's not that I cared if I did bad. It was the fact that I thought I should do better than what I was doing.
Right.
And I put that on me, but I took a break, and now I've come back, and I could literally care less. I'm more like in the realm of what you were talking about. It just, I come to hang out.
Yeah.
And I like to compete, and I want to do good, but I could care less how I do. I don't need to make an A main. Yeah. If I do, it's a great day for me. And I know if I run more, I would do better. I don't, which next year my goal is to kind of try to get back to that, like running more often, getting good again, getting to the point where I can compete with my buddies and stuff.
I mean, when I was at the track 10, 15 years ago, I didn't care if it was the on-road stuff or the 8-scale stuff. If it were a regionalized event, I came to win.
Yeah.
The whole goal when I left the house was win. What I did during that week to get ready was to win.
Yep.
And I'm not saying I hated it if I didn't. I always reflected and go, why didn't I? What could I have done better? That kind of stuff. But now it's great to win. Anybody's going to tell you that, right? But if I don't win, even though I TQ'd 40 plus, if I don't win that main tomorrow, I'll drive home with no.
Yeah, you're not going to beat yourself up.
No, I'm not going to not sleep tomorrow night because I don't win that main.
Right.
I'd love to. Love to have that trophy on the wall or whatever, but different phases of life, different priorities. For me, this is now fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy sitting out under my canopy, beside my camper, Bluetooth rocking, eating some good food with local other racers or whoever's near me,
Yeah, the fellowship.
Have a couple cold cans, and you know what? If it doesn't go my way on the track, I still was off work.
Yep.
Got out of town, hung out with people, had a good time.
And a lot of the times you do it with your son.
Yeah.
Which I would assume, and this is me just knowing what it would be like for me, you're more focused now on the fact that his stuff is right and that he's doing well and coaching him, helping him along.
Yeah.
It's more important, more fun maybe?
I've not raced as many classes because of that. A lot of times I go somewhere and I'll race one class, one car, and somebody's like, why you only run one class? Well, because he's racing also, right? Yeah. And he gets the wrench inside of it. He's good at putting the stuff together. It's the small details of 8-scale that would bite him if I just turned him loose.
Right.
Not Loctiting something the right way, just throwing in the ring and pinion, getting it in there, putting the right screw back in the right place, but not shimming it correctly. That kind of stuff that if he had a DNF after we've traveled 3-4 hours somewhere, knowing I didn't double check him or help him, that kind of stuff, it would suck. So, this week he's not here. I haven't ran 3 classes at a race in as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
So, miss him, definitely. I mean, not because he's my son. I'm not being biased, but I think he's one of the best guys on pit road. Like
he is good.
He's never failed me on pit road.
He is a good pit man.
And just there's plenty of other good guys out here.
How old is he now?
13.
Yeah, I mean, for his age, he is gangster in the pits.
Yeah, he understands lean is to the right and rich is to the left, and he understands the hours on a clock. He understands what the low-speed needle, the high-speed needle is. I mean, I can tell him what to do, and he does it.
Yep.
But he doesn't drop the car on pit road. He doesn't sling me down sideways getting out of the pits. Like, yep. I don't think about my pit stops.
Yeah, they're going to be on point.
Yeah, you get somebody that, even if they've done this forever and you've never done it with them, it's just...
There's a team dynamic though. Like you guys work together.
Yeah.
You do it for him. He knows how you do it for him. Right. He does the same for you. Yeah. But what I love about it is that the father-son thing.
Yeah, for sure.
I think and I say this all the time, that is right now, in my opinion, is the most important thing we need more of. And there's a lot of it. I know there's a lot of it,
Yeah.
but we need more of it. Like, that needs to be the most focused thing, is families doing something they enjoy, not because someone wants to go pro, not because somebody thinks that they're going to get paid to be in the industry, but because it's family time that they all enjoy doing together.
Yeah, it's no different if we come racing and see him do well and we have that time together, or if we sit in our 2-man tree stand and I watch him, drop his first deer.
Yep.
It's that moment, that time that.
So important.
Yep.
I
like at Wicked Weekend, not this year, it was last year. So 2021 Wicked Weekend.
Oh,
He had a pipe dream of making the podium in Sportsman Nitro Buggy. He talked about how cool it would be if he could get on a podium. And throughout the week, he was getting a little better. And he was like, "Do you think I can make the podium?" And I was like, "Yeah, I really do." I was like, "I'm not going to tell you you're going to make the podium, but I think you can make the podium. And what it's going to take is for these things to happen, right?" And he actually took that to heart. A lot of times your kids want to listen to another racer for advice rather than their parent, because their parent's just criticizing, not coaching, right? So, we talked about it, and, I told him, I said, it's not about leading the race. It's not about trying to get, you need a good start, preferably, but it's not all about that. So if you get shaken back at the beginning, shake it off. Don't worry about it. You got 30 minutes. Just put your head down. I was like, it's a sportsman race. And I'm not bagging on sportsman drivers whatsoever, but, typically more sportsman drivers are going to have flame outs. More sportsman drivers might break their car. It's like, you're never out of it. You're just never out of it. If you're 7th place with 5 minutes to go, as long as you're not a lap down, you can still get a podium if it falls your way, right? So, long story short, he just had a good race, and I told him, I was like, you need to drive your race. Don't listen to the announcer on who's leading, how far the leader is. If you're going as fast as you can go without crashing, that's all you need to do.
Yeah.
And wherever that gets you, But don't take a 3rd place run trying to win and crash out the last 5 minutes trying too hard and finish 7th.
Right. I remember that race vividly because I pitted Bubba.
Yeah. I think we were even side by side on the road.
We were. And also I remember that I didn't go to the damn Hardy concert with you, which really pisses me off.
Yeah, you missed a good one.
I'm going to Coyote Joe's next week. I'll be up there at Coyote Joe's on Thursday. But yeah, I remember that race because we got on the podium too. That was like Bubba's first big podium.
Yep.
And but I remember Tyler, like the excitement that he had, which was, I mean, I love that. That's for me. I get a kick out of it.
Yeah, I didn't know. I didn't know what to expect from him. Like, he came down off the stand, and at first he looked emotionless, and I was like, well, part of that's because he had a tight battle in the last minute of the race. I'm like, maybe he's just processing, trying to think, is it finally over, right?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden he just kind of, those tears of joy came down. I was like, you all right? And he was like, I got the podium. I made the podium. I'm like, yes, you did. Yes, you did. So, and I think he set a little bit of a higher bar for himself now. And I think it's like, because he's made since then several podiums. So now it's like, I don't want to just podium. I want to win.
Right.
A sportsman race. And he's even talked about running intermediate. And I'm like, I'll support that. But
let's get a big win in sportsman.
It's not even about getting a win. Like, if he wanted to run intermediate tomorrow or next race on the calendar, I think P&B is probably the next big regional race, right? So if he said, I want to run intermediate, and I told him, okay, so would you be okay with a B main instead of racing for a podium or a win? And he said, yeah, I'd be fine with that. Go for it. I'm signing him up for intermediate because I do think you'll get better, quicker, racing faster people. Absolutely. I mean, there's no secret in that. But, personally, would I like to see him get that one significant win before moving up? Yeah, I think that's logical, but I'm not going to hold him back. If he wants to move up and run a B or a C main instead of making the main, I'll sign him up for it.
Yeah.
Next race, if that's his choice. So,
there's a lot of merit to that. It's a lot of merit to someone that wants to move up, because we see all this stuff of people not wanting to move out. They're comfortable just running top 3 all the time in a lower class when they could conceivably get faster. And
100 stories about that.
Yeah. Right. But I actually missed, I don't miss many gymnastics meets of my daughter. Yeah. And I missed one today, and she took overall. And that was one of these. Like I literally sat at my table today, and when my wife told me, I was like nearly bawled. Like I was at that point because
Right.
I'm a girl dad, so
Yeah.
I don't get to throw a ball. I don't. She's not into RC, but she's passionate. And for me, like when I see same thing with my daughter that I see with parents at the track when the kid works so hard, and we've watched some of these kids from just starting to like Tyler,
Yeah.
making podiums. It's so refreshing to see the real joy, not just the
Yeah.
I'm a fast kid arrogance or whatever. It's that happiness that they've accomplished something.
Yeah, he has no entitlement mentality,
Right.
whatsoever, which I'm proud of. So, I know he could do better than what he does. Just because he doesn't race much, he really doesn't race that often. Like we just don't get the opportunity to just club race regularly very often. Some of it's by choice, some of it's by life. But like what I tell him is like, you can't choose to play baseball and want to go hunt and want to race. I mean, all these are Saturday events, right? So whatever you choose, I'll support you. If it's hunting season, you want to go hunt, that's what we're going to go do. If you sign up to play, baseball in the spring and that's 11 weeks long, you just got 11 Saturdays where you're not racing.
Right.
So
Or hunting.
or yeah. Well, in the spring there's not
Well,
much,
yeah,
but
that's true. My bad.
But yeah, but the I guess my point is like there was about 2 years ago, we raced a lot from late spring all the way through the summer. And I saw a big improvement over a short period of time. And it was just being at the track, being at the track,
doing it so often.
being at the track. And now, if he would have came here this weekend, it would have been since the Peach State in mid-September, since he held a radio, and it would have taken him all day Friday to even get close, to get comfortable, which is about what it takes him, a day of practice before he's at what pace I know that he could run and that what he realizes he should be running compared to the guys he's used to racing with now. So
Yeah.
shorten that curve up a lot, racing more often. If he were to race weekly or twice a month and come down here, it would be 2 to 3 tanks versus an entire day, of practice. So
Yeah. So speaking of hunting, you kind of switching gears a little bit.
Wait, Brent, before we get into this, let me interject so you can kind of start over again if you want to cut this. Would you mind removing your shades and put them on the table?
Oh yeah, sure.
I think it's making this camera,
Sorry.
the focus go in and out. No problem. I just didn't want to interrupt your story.
No.
Okay.
No, all good. You good?
It's looking a lot better.
Do I need to touch something?
I would just to be safe, I would probably go refocus it.
Like that whole session's not like messed up because of the
No,
shades.
we've got multiple camera angles, so
Okay.
I just stuck to one.
Cool.
We can use all three at any time.
Yeah.
So
Cool.
so hunting.
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 There's no G.
Where do you guys normally hunt at? Like, you're based in Charlotte-ish.
Out-ish. Yeah, Charlotte. I'm right near Charlotte Motor Speedway, which is not actually in Charlotte.
Concord.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Harrisburg, is the exact town. But, yeah, Concord, Harrisburg, that area. Our family for generations has had about an 8-acre farm south of a town called Monroe. So it's about 50 minutes from our house. And it's between, like, Monroe and the state line of South Carolina. So most everything we hunt's there. Every now and then we'll go with somebody if we get an invite kind of thing. But, we got plenty of deer. We've got, really about anything. If it's a North Carolina wildlife, other than bear and hogs, it's out there. Depending on what crop the farmer has on it that season, if it's just been cut with corn, we can hunt birds. If it's been, certain things we hunt, you gotta call them in. You gotta work for it,
Right.
But, yeah, he enjoys that, and it's not for the, what's the right word? It's not for the inhumane purpose of it, but one of the deer he shot this year, I brought down a backstrap out of it down here.
I heard. I seen on
Yeah.
Facebook
So
or something today.
a lot of people will ridicule you for hunting. So be it. Whatever. Is it illegal? No.
Not anyone that's
Do
watching
I like?
this.
Do
I
I like?
promise you that.
Do I like to do it? Yeah. So get off my back, dude.
Yeah.
Just look the other way if you don't like it, kind of thing. But we'll put it on the table and eat it. And what's the difference of us putting it down with our rifle versus you going to the grocery store and buying a steak from a cow that was brought into a slaughterhouse?
Yeah.
So, it is what it is. So we like to do it. It's fun.
The hypocrisy in this country is amazing.
It's
at an all-time
there's no
high.
Hypocrisy here.
It's at the all-time high right now.
Yeah. So.
If it's good for me, what's the saying? It's good for me, but not for thee, or something like that.
Sure.
That's just that entitlement and mentality that is spreading like a disease right now.
Yeah. But for me, I mean, the older you get, like, you don't get any quiet time.
No.
So sometimes the sound of silence is the best sound, right? So, if I'm in my stand or my blind before the sun comes up and I'm sitting there,
Need one?
and it's like silent, almost, and I hear nothing but the leaves blow or the leaves move when the wind blows, and then all of a sudden the sun comes up. Then after the sun comes up, you start to hear birds chirping, then you hear squirrels rattling around. It's like you watch nature come to life like it does every day before you knew what that was like.
Right.
So in our weekday hustle and bustle as we're getting up and getting them ready for school like we do, right, and get ready to go to work, and you're focused on what's work going to bring me today, or what's the first thing I got to do when I got in, there is none of that.
No.
You're sitting in the woods or over that field or whatever, and it's like the only thing that matters right now is watching this sun come up, being here by myself, my phone not ringing, and the fact that I might get a shot on something that I can take home. And if I can put it on the wall, great. That'd be, fortunate.
It's like bonus.
But, whether it's a trophy or not, I mean, it's still food.
What's the biggest buck that you've gotten so far?
My personal best is an 8-point. I wouldn't say we manage deer because we got a small property. There's a lot of people that hunt around us. I try not to shoot spikes, little 4-points, stuff like that. My youngest son, which doesn't come to the track much. Some people have met him mostly around the local tracks, but he shot his first one this year, and for him, it doesn't matter if it's a trophy or not. He got one.
Yeah.
So we've shot. Give you an idea. We've shot 4 does and 1 buck this year. So have we seen a lot of bucks? Sure, but nothing that I felt was worth taking down, knowing that next year, if it hangs around long enough, it's going to be a nicer buck.
Right.
If a neighbor doesn't shoot it, so out west, you get thousands of acre, Midwest, West, you get thousands of acre parcels. Here east, it's like to have 20 acres is like something to say about.
Yeah, that's large.
Yeah, so it's you got to have several property owners all in agreement to not shoot something that's not a certain criteria, and that's hard to do.
Right. I've actually never gone hunting. I love the action of it. I want to do it. I'm not scared of it. I'm not afraid to kill an animal.
Sure.
And I want to do it. My buddy, I got a shotgun this year. I want to take and do some duck hunting. But I would, that's one of those things I've always wanted to do. Just never. My wife before we got married, she hunt a lot in Arkansas.
Sure.
And then our oldest daughter and my wife, they went on a hog trip 2 years ago, where they ran dogs, but my daughter had to stab it. The only way that the guy that was taking them hunting would let them kill it is by actually stabbing it.
That's pretty hardcore.
Yeah, and she had to do it. Like, that was the way it was going to get done.
Yeah.
And we eat everything that they've done, and I'm all about that for sure. I don't think killing for just for the trophy. I do believe in killing for the harvest.
Yeah.
But I over the last few years, I've gotten so into, a lot of things, Second Amendment and guns, and then, just wanting to live off the land in the future, not wanting to be part of this hustle and bustle. So I guess that's kind of more of like a future dream of mine, is to be able to, hopefully my professional life gets to a point and manage to where I can do that on a more regular or a regular basis, because I don't do it at all yet. But that's what I want to do. Like, that's where I want to get to.
Yeah. I mean, just like RC, there's a technical strategy side to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like I'm just going to sit right here, and if I get lucky, like something walks in front of me.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's everything from washing your clothes in a special detergent that doesn't have a scent to which way's the wind blowing. So if the wind's blowing out of the south, I got one location I'm going to hunt, but if it's blowing out of the whatever, I got another location I'm going to hunt, because if I think the target area is a certain area, I got to be somewhere where the wind's not going to blow me out.
Right.
Right. So, you know, aside from the strategy of how to do it, how to best position yourself, and then you got your, you know, your weapon of choice, whether it's a bow, whether it's a rifle, or whatever.
Do you
the
bow
case
hunt?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll bow hunt and rifle hunt. But as far as the rifle side of things, I mean, that's technical as well. So, I mean,
Right.
you don't just go buy the thing off the store shelf and it's got a scope on it. If you buy
You're like, let's
the
go
ready
hunting.
to run
Yeah.
package,
Let's go hunt.
You know, so I mean, you got to understand how to sight it in. You got to understand what moves the scope up, what moves it down, what reticle do I need, what are the little dots on the reticle. Oh, you mean those dots are where to put it? Like if it's such distant out, you know, a lot of people don't realize that.
Right.
It's like we're not hunting with granddad's guns anymore. You know?
Right.
So, just your weapon has a lot of technicalities that it's fun to learn it, get good at it, have confidence in it, you know, all the above. So
It's just another hobby though. And which makes, you know, people, I have a bad habit of just packing hobbies into my life. I mean, even to the point of, I was like, you know, I'm not racing, so I really need something to kind of free my mind when I get home, because that's the hardest thing for me, owning my own business, going home and not thinking about work for as long as I can, because it's just impossible not to.
right.
So I got into a saltwater tank, like a reef tank. And let me tell you, that shit's hard. Like, I kill so much live goods trying to figure out my fucking, like, all the chemical balances and the food and it's beautiful. And it might be beautiful today. And what happens, I'm finding, is like what I fucked up on today, I don't even know I fucked up for a month, because it shocks them to the point where they look fine and then they slowly start dying and you don't even know.
Right.
So it like the guns and hunting and everything else, there's that learning curve of like, oh, okay, you just can't throw these nice coral, these live coral and these fish into this tank and be like, throw water in it once a week or whatever and feed it once a day, you know.
Yeah, I'll say probably the biggest mistake I've made with the hobby of hunting is looking at different types of social media groups of like hunting groups. Well, there's only 20 people on there putting pictures out of the 20,000 people that were in the woods that day, right? So you see the pictures of the buck this person shot, the buck that person shot, and this and that, and this person's trail cam pictures, and it's like, why don't I have that? What am I doing wrong? And it's like, it's not that you're doing it wrong. Yeah. It's just that you're looking at the small percentage
the odds
of the real world.
Right.
You know, so I got to get off of that, because I won't call it jealousy, but it's almost like resentment of like, that son of a bitch probably didn't put in half the effort I did and just got lucky in the right place at the right time. And life's unfair. Right. So,
as long as you know that.
Yeah. So, I mean, you know, there's always next year, right? That's what the Broncos say.
Fuck you, man. Oh man, so the
we suck too, though. I got no room to talk. So
did I tell you the story? I don't think I've seen you since. So I went to Texas for Thanksgiving, and you know I was looking for tickets for the game.
Yep.
I had been for a while, and then my buddy locally, we had everything taken care of. I could have bought them, whatever. Well, we go to Texas. And I'm sitting there, and my mom's like, "You still going to the game?" And Tiffany looks at me, my wife, and she says, "Yeah, are we still going to the game?" Because I keep telling her, "I'm going to buy tickets. Don't worry about it. I've got it all under control." And I finally just looked over and said, "Listen, Linda," because that's the thing at our house. Yeah. Everyone's a fucking Linda. I said, "Listen, I don't want to spend all that money for a full family to go up to fucking North Carolina to get our asses kicked and be pissed off, drive all the way home 4 hours. I'm a super fan, but I've had enough. This year, I had enough. I didn't need to go to Charlotte to get my teeth kicked in.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm so passionate, I'm going to be angry.
Which is what happened.
Exactly.
You know.
And I mean, we suck so bad, and we're trying. In my mind, as a football connoisseur, trying to figure out how is this even happening? Because we don't have a bad team.
Yeah, whose job should be sacrificed?
I thought Nathaniel Hackett was going to be awesome. I might be wrong, and maybe he needs another chance, like another year. Like he needs to get the locker room like under control. I don't know, but do we waste another year? Did Russell Wilson just become the biggest bust ever? Like, what happened? And as a fan, like when we got Russell Wilson, it's like, hell yeah. When we lost Von Miller last year, I'm like, dude, that is a franchise guy. Pay him. Do what he needs. I mean, he's given up salary for years to stay on this team. Pay the man. And then we get rid of Bradley Chubb this year. And I'm just, by the way, we chose Bradley Chubb over Allen in the draft.
A lot of people chose a lot of different people over Allen.
I know, but,
right.
like, damn. And so, like, all these things, and we just completely suck. We go into Charlotte 2-7, and you guys are 3-7 or something, and we got
shitty versus each other, right?
Yeah, and oh man, so I told her, I was like, "There's no way I'm gonna go pay all the money for drinks, gas, food, fun, whatever, tickets, just to drive home with my head."
And how many people were gonna go? 4?
5 of us. 5. Well, my mother-in-law and then all my girls.
Yeah, I mean that's $1,000.
It could have been about $1,000 day.
$1,000 day.
Yeah. And I'm like, I could watch it at home if I wanted to.
Right.
But you know what I ended up doing is watch the first quarter, saw we sucked so bad, turned it off, went to the garage, started cleaning. That's how bad I was pissed. Like, I don't normally just start cleaning out my garage,
We're kind of known as like the Jersey family at church, right? Because every Sunday, if there's a game, that Sunday we'll all wear our jerseys. Going to the game or not, we'll wear our jerseys. So you just kind of get known for that, right? There was one Sunday, my wife comes out ready for church. I'm like, "You not wearing your jersey?" She's like, "I ain't wearing that thing no more." Like, we just suck. I'm tired of wearing it. Maybe if we stop, they'll start winning, right? So, and then all of a sudden we didn't wear our jersey. Like she didn't wear her jersey. Like, well, if you ain't wearing yours, I ain't wearing mine. And then the kids are like, well, I ain't gonna wear mine either. So we show up, and even the pastor of the church is like, "What's up? No jerseys today." And it's like, we've kind of given up.
Yeah.
So
next year. We always have next year.
Next year, yeah. The Browns have said it like 60 years, right?
For Browns fans, man, it's gotta suck to be a Browns fan. I mean, I hate losing one bad year, but to have like a lifelong.
I mean, the Panthers haven't won a Super Bowl, but at least in the semi-young life of the franchise, I mean, I think 96 or something was their first year, but. Yeah, that's a long time ago, but not in the life of some other franchises, right? But we've at least been to 2 Super Bowls, lost both of them. But we've been there. We've had some moments, a lot of playoff seasons. So you're not saying that winning is the only acceptable thing, but when the town knows what it feels like, right? And you know that there's been, 50% of their years in existence have been playoff years. You go through 3 or 4 shitty years like we've had, and it's like,
there's a show.
What's the deal, guys? Let's go.
There's a show on Netflix right now called Sunderland or Die. It's about a soccer team that was in the Premier League. I don't know if you know anything about I'm not even a soccer fan.
I can't even tell you how many people are on the field at one time during a soccer match. I don't know anything about soccer.
I know just because I'm a sports fan a lot about it, but I'm not a fan to say like anything. But we went to the Valencia game when I was in Spain for Worlds. Mm-hmm. It was one of the greatest sporting event experiences I've ever had. But I kind of like, I gained a new respect for it after that game we went to. So I'm not going to sit down and watch it when it's on TV unless it's World Cup or something like that, just because I'm patriotic. But I watched this show called Sunderland or Die on Netflix. And it's about, so in the Premier League in Europe, in England, that's the top. Like, that's where all the teams want to get to. And then they have the next league, which is called the Championship, and then the next league's called something else. There's 3 leagues. And the bottom 3 leagues or teams of Premier League get relegated to the next league down, and the top 3 teams in the second league go up, and the same thing on the bottom 2 and 3 leagues.
Yeah, so you can't be the Browns and stay there.
Right. I mean, you're not going to be in the NFL anymore. You're going to be down in the AFL or CFL, whatever, right? So if you compare it like that. And but this team in Sunderland or Die, like they have this long history of being great in the Premier League. And then pre-COVID, they got relegated, and then they just sucked again and the town was just distraught. I mean, it's a small English town, and that puts 50,000 people in a stadium, and these people are like on suicide watch, the whole town.
Yeah.
So imagine what it's like to be a Browns fan.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm not even going to go there. I mean, I'm not from Cleveland, don't live, never been there hardly, a couple RC races, but it's like the Cavs won a championship, and I think that's the only championship in the history of the city for a long time.
Yeah, because I can't remember the Indians winning anything.
No, I don't think they ever had.
They were good a couple years ago, but
I just know my Braves beat them in '95.
Right.
So that's all I know.
What did you say?
From 1999 through 2018, the Cleveland Browns have had 30 starting quarterbacks.
Oh my God.
That's about like the Panthers in 3 seasons.
That's a lot of starting.
You guys wanted our trash hand me down, so y'all got Bridgewater.
Which was not a good move. And then we get rid of Drew Lock, send him up to Seattle, bring down Russell Wilson. You would have thought that would have been a gangbuster move. Like he's a 9-time
proven winner,
Pro Bowl.
Yeah, proven winner,
won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
it's just the systems, man. Those guys are trained so much into one thing.
Right.
Couldn't imagine. Those guys got to be just so smart. Like quarterbacks, especially, got to know so much. I was talking to my wife about that the other day. It's like imagine having to be a guy that every play, 50, 60 plays in a game, has to walk up to the line, evaluate 11 people within 24 seconds. On the other side of the field while trying to move 5 or 6 people on his side of the line and have to know where those 5 or 6 people are going every single time the ball gets in your hands.
Yeah. Or thinking about it this way, I know you're kind of a music aficionado like I am, right? We talk about that, different shows and stuff, but if you listen to your favorite artist, they came out with a new song, you listen to that song 20 times. It's still hard to memorize every word of the song.
Yeah.
Well, that quarterback has to memorize every play of the playbook, not just what the name of it is and what he needs to do, but if there's 3 receivers, which way is every guy going on which one?
Yeah, for anybody that wants to know what it's like, go on Madden Football and try to memorize just the 20 plays they give you on there.
Right. And I've played very, very little video games or Madden, but I've played with my kids every now and then, right? Well, I pick the play I want, and I see where the XYZ receiver is. Once the play starts, I can't remember where the X, Y, and Z guy are going, and I just picked that one, right? So it just, I agree with you. Like, are they athletes? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But whether they're book smart or not, you got to commit. I mean, you're still a professional.
Yep.
It's a sport. It should be fun.
But it's a job.
It's a job, and you are a professional.
Yep.
Your job is to be the best.
Yep.
Right? So I get paid to do a job where I go to work. I'm expected to do that job and do it well. Well, when you're a professional being paid to play football, you're expected to do it well.
Yeah.
Right? And if you don't.
But the difference is somebody that, like at your job, if they wanted to, they could fire all of you at once. They could if they wanted to.
Yeah.
In the NFL, you can't just fire everybody. Like, you can't just go and say, fuck all you guys. You suck so bad. I'm rebuilding the team next year.
Yeah.
So you're stuck with people for, X amount of time, I mean, even going back to the musicians, not only do they have to know every word, but most of them play an instrument at the same time. So not only do you have to sing every word for 15 songs for 3 hours, but you got to know every damn note that you're going to play on the instrument.
I can barely tap my head and rub my belly at the same time, right? Yeah, so I hear you.
I tried learning the guitar not too long ago, well, a few years back, and going to lessons with my oldest daughter. And I was getting into it, really sucked. My left hand is just jacked up. I don't know why. I can't move it good like I used to. And she just gave up so quick. I was so disappointed. I was like, you wanted to do the guitar thing, so I joined you. And I really wanted to do it. But I'm like, I'm trying to figure out why do my hands not move like the other people. But it's just like everything else. It's all practice. Yeah. It's muscle memory. It's knowing what you got to do all the time and pushing yourself to like get the calluses and all that, you know. And I wasn't committed.
Yeah.
I quit, you know. And I think that's what separates, even in our industry, that's what separates the top guys. But anything you do, doesn't matter if you're a lawyer, trash man, I mean, landscaper, it doesn't matter. If that's what you want to do, you want to be the best at it, you can be. You just got to work at it.
Yeah.
Some people are naturally talented. Some people just have to work really hard, you know? So what I want to know, so that's what I started off with in the beginning. I want some good, tell me a story. What is the most fun, or let me see if I'm going to tell you, I had a lot of fun with you 2 years ago at Wicked Weekend. You danced like
we all had a good time.
That was a great night. Last year's was even pretty good too. Yeah. You were there last year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you were there. I just want to know, give me one good race story. It doesn't have to be at the races, but like something that happened after the race, maybe hanging out, maybe with a rental car, maybe at a restaurant. What's the most memorable story you've got?
So I'll give you two of them. One of them is before we ever got to the race. And the reason we'll remember it is because it was like a oh shit moment. And Tyler was there, and he didn't know what to do. So I think it was 2 years ago. We were coming down here to the Brawl, and it started to get dark on us on the way down here. We were coming down Thursday night. So I cut the lights on the truck, and I kind of just noticed in the mirror that my trailer lights didn't come on when I turned the truck lights on. So I was like, oh, shit, man, we're like still an hour and a half out. Long way to go without any trailer lights, which means I don't have brake lights. I don't have turn signals, right? Like, not good. So we pull over in a parking lot at a gas station, and I look at just the very most basic, simple stuff. Can't get the lights to come on. So I tell Tyler, I'm like, we're just going to have to drive to, kind of open country road until you get from like the 501 76 interchange.
Right.
It was about where we noticed they didn't come on to like Conway. I'm like, I don't want to get into Conway with no lights, right? So we pulled into AutoZone right there on 501, across from the high school.
Yep.
And I go in there and I'm like, asking if I can borrow like a voltmeter or something, right? I'm checking a couple things in the parking lot. And I go in and ask them if they have a certain relay. They don't stock it, whatever. And not knowing if that was a problem, but that was like the most maybe obvious thing. And I figured if it was $20, $30 and I put it in, it wasn't the end of the world, if it didn't work or whatever. So we leave AutoZone. I'm like, we just got to go for it. What are we going to do? Drive 2 hours and 45 minutes back home with no lights, or drive the remaining 20 minutes to the track without lights? We're just going for it. It is what it is, and we'll figure out how to get home or what to do before we come home. And this is back when I had the toy hauler. So I needed a pair of pliers out of my RC box to get the fuses out and relays out, start checking stuff. So I dropped the gate on the toy hauler at AutoZone to get my tools out of my RC stuff. Well, started doing all that. Guess what Dad did? Dad forgot that he dropped the gate on the toy hauler. We pull out of AutoZone, get rolling down 501, and this guy pulls up beside of us. He's honking his horns and he's waving us down. And I'm like, I know, asshole. I don't have any lights. What do you want me to say, right? So I'm telling Tyler, I'm like, guys, probably every Tom, Dick, and Harry that drives up is going to tell us our lights aren't on or whatever.
Right.
So he rolls his window down. And if Tyler hadn't rolled his window down, I probably would have never heard the guy. And all of a sudden I hear, your trailer's open. And we had driven about 2 miles down 501 with the gate down on the toy hauler. Tyler's bike's about to fall out.
Oh, my gosh.
I lost 2 boxes out of the back of it that had slid out on the road. So I get down, figure out a shopping center I can pull into. I shut the gate. Notice what I'm missing. We drive the other way back on 501 looking for our stuff in the road, right? So we find one box, pull over real quick, get that box, drive up a little further, see another box, get that box. So miraculously, I've got all the stuff that fell out of the trailer back in the trailer. Still don't have any lights, but whatever. So anyway, we packed up. I shut it. All the rubber stops on the back of it are ground down, and I didn't see it, but I just imagined my trailer gate just bouncing going down the road, sparking who knows what that you can't see in your mirror. And so that's a story that you're not really proud of, but
no, but it's
2 years later.
Yeah,
it's funny now. Wasn't at the time, but whatever. So that's an off the track, racing story. The other one is, again, at this race many moons ago, myself and Pace and Nick Katuna, a bunch of us went down to Broadway at the beach, kind of in our younger days. And there's one song, and it doesn't matter if I've had 3 beers or 10 beers, man. When Cotton Eye Joe comes on, I'm going to get out there on the floor and shake it down, right? So I remember maybe it wasn't this race because we were wearing flip-flops and shorts and T-shirts. And I doubt
Sting, maybe?
I doubt we were doing that in December. It might have been the Sting. Maybe it was the Sting. But, I'm dancing, carrying on, this and that. And then all of a sudden I realize, I got one flip-flop on. I'm like, where the hell did my other flip-flop go? And I come off the floor, and I'm like, man, I lost a shoe. And Pace was like, yeah, this some bitch started zinging past my face about the third line of the song in. You started kicking and dancing and carrying on, and your flip-flop freaking went flying across the bar or who knows where.
I can see that.
So we had to go find the flip-flop laying on the floor somewhere, So, I mean, there's, been a lot of stuff like that. But the most fun times are always off the track, right?
Yeah.
So
the track, well, it goes back to competition. Competition's fun, but that, for the most part, that's not why we're here.
Yeah. I can't tell you where I finished in what main that weekend.
Right.
But I can tell you I slung a flip-flop off dancing at the bar to a song after we all
with your buddies
put down some bullets with our buddies, right?
Yeah, and I think that's what's so important. And I try to convey that to so many people at the track. People come up like, "Hey man, how you running?" And they say to me, "Man, this sucks, and I did this, and it sucked, and I'm not doing good. My car's not good, whatever." Excuse me. And I'm like, "Well, are you having fun?" They're like, "Well, I mean, not yet." Well, what's fun to you?
Right.
Because you're obviously doing something wrong. You're not socializing,
Yeah.
You're obviously only focused on winning.
Do you have an unrealistic expectation or what?
Right. And it's fine to want to win. I think if you don't want to win, you shouldn't be doing it, period. I mean, honestly. But if you don't win, you shouldn't be upset about it.
Sure.
Unless you made a mistake, preparation, or a dumb driving mistake that don't beat yourself up, but you could be upset that you fucked up, whatever.
Yeah.
But I try to tell people all the time, listen, you're doing it wrong. When was the last time you walked over to my pit and you saw me not smiling? I suck. I could go out there and break my car in half, come back, smile, and laugh about it, you know? Because I know when I'm done wrenching on that piece of shit and I fix it, because I fucked it all up, that my buddy Brandon's going to come over and be like, "Yo, you want a beer?" And I know what that turns into.
Yeah.
2 or 3 more beers, sit around a campfire.
Then the Bluetooth speaker comes over.
Exactly. Cotton Eye Joe starts,
and then 30 minutes later, I don't even remember breaking my car.
Exactly.
Right?
But that's the problem, I think. And it's different for the younger kids because they might have pressure from their dad or whatever. But, most of us adults that go there, we all know each other, and we end up kind of like I said, it's that extended family. It's like, hey, we get to see each other, once a month, and we're gonna do it all again. We're gonna drink, we're gonna hang out, and I just wish they would learn that.
Yeah. And there's always ways I can piss people off by trying to have fun in their weak moments, right?
Right.
So last year at Weekend, it was the last. It was even practice. I think they had a practice for something after racing was over, maybe. I don't know. But we had already been on the clock, and I remember Pace got a chance to practice, and Spencer had told him, "You need to do this to your e-buggy." And he's like, "Man, I've tried all that before. I don't like it. Just preference, track, whatever. I don't know." So he's like, "All right, well, I'll try it." So he goes out there for a free practice run, and hits the metal fence around the racetrack. Yeah. I mean, just wadded it up. And I just hear, bang! and the car's just crippled. And I know he's pissed, livid pissed.
Yep.
I'm laughing. And I'm like, I don't care, dude. Like, that shit's funny.
Yeah.
You didn't even want to go try it. You said no.
And you didn't anyway.
I was on the headset, and he's like, this sucks. I don't know why I keep trying this. It might have been on the clock. Maybe. I don't know. But I'm laughing to myself that he never talks when he drives. So the fact that he's talking while driving about not liking it, and I should have never done this, and just to wad the car up.
Yeah.
I'm laughing. I had to flip the headset up because I'm just laughing out loud, right? And he comes off the driver's stand, storming, pouting, whatever. And I just got this biggest shit-eating grin on my face, right? Like, I can't hide it. I'm like, that's funny. I don't care who you are. Like, that's funny, right? And what are you laughing at? If that was you, you'd be pissed, man. You'd be pissed too, this and that. I'm like, but it ain't. It ain't me. It ain't me, right? And because it ain't me, that shit's funny. So
damn right.
But that's the stuff that today, if we talk about that,
you can laugh about
he's laughing,
right.
And it's funny.
Right.
So
I got when we got to see Pace 2 years ago.
It's all about the fun of it,
It was so nice to see Chris Pace fucking open up. And let his guard down and relax. Because most of the time when we see Chris, I mean, he's in mode. He's in race mode.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. I love Chris. But it was really nice to see Chris and not that full-blown, like, race mode.
Yeah.
And getting a little tipsy, So.
And part of that is we talk about it all the time. It's like, we take time off work. Like I took a vacation day from my employer to come to the Badlands, to the Fall Brawl.
Right.
Also to Wicked Weekend. Whatever race I go to, if I'm gone on Friday, I've taken a vacation day.
Yeah.
Right? I'm 41 years old. I'm a grown-ass man. I have a real life. You take time off work. It's our money, our time, our effort to come down here. Like, do I want to represent, my sponsors well? Absolutely. So, like, it's kind of like when you punch in and you punch out, So when racing starts to when racing's over, I'll help anybody at the track.
Yep.
I'll help any of, my drivers. I'll help anybody tune a motor. I'll help anybody with anything if they ask, right? But, like, when racing's over, like, this is my time too.
Yeah.
This is my weekend.
This is what I'm paying for. This is what I'm taking time off for, to enjoy.
Yeah. The $600 it cost me to do this weekend,
Yep.
I'm going to have fun with that.
You have to.
Right? And doesn't affect how I represent anybody. Doesn't affect how I personally race because, like you said, referencing what you go mode or race mode or, whatever, like focus mode, like, from first qualifier to last qualifier, I'm not goofing off. I'm not having a beer. I'm not getting out of line or anything like that. But, like, at night, why not enjoy yourself?
Yeah.
And I don't see anything wrong with that.
The kind of a story, but 2 years ago at Wicked Weekend, that was at SMB because of COVID. Were you there?
I came down and I brought Tyler down to watch the mains.
Okay. Well, I don't know which night it was. It was Thursday, Friday night. We were doing like Fuel Gun, Harambe and Josh Hollyfield and JB Delish, and he was still racing at the time. And there was all of us. We were all under a tent. It was raining. We were fucking pounding beer and having a great time. But the next night, I want to say Cav and Cole and Mayfield and me and Spencer Heckert and there was 10 of us, and they were all like, at SMB they got the football field right there. So someone gets a football and they go down to the end where we're all pitting and trying to kick field goals. Well, evidently Cav kicked a pretty good field goal, went over the fence and hit somebody's camper. Well, that guy came out and went ballistic. Cav's like, dude, I'm sorry, we're just goofing off and didn't mean to. You dented my Airstream or whatever. It was one of these, like, I don't even know who the guy was at this point. Well, that guy, the next day, because that was at the night, end of probably a Friday night or something like that. The next day, that guy's going around saying, these pros are dicks and, like, blah, 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 blah. And Mayfield ended up saying, look, bro, we're just like you when we fucking done racing. We clock out.
Right.
We are normal people just like you. We drink beer, we have fun, we hang out with our buddies. And that's what people don't understand. You can't judge a man by what he does when he's not doing what you think he's supposed to be doing.
Sure.
Like, that guy is allowed to drink beer and goof off and have fun.
Yeah. My company cares about what I do from 8 to 5.
Exactly.
What I do at 11 o'clock on a Friday night, they don't give a shit about if I'm back at work on Monday morning doing my job that I'm paid to do.
Exactly.
Right? So,
And these guys, everyone says, well, that's another thing that comes to my mind that guy said was like, that's why they're so unapproachable. That's why people don't want to talk to them because they're dicks. I'm like, no, they're not. You just come at them hard because they made a mistake or playing around and a football hit your camper. It's like there was no malintent. They didn't throw it at it on purpose, try to put a hole in the side of it.
Yeah.
And so that's why I can see why those guys a lot of times are so guarded, and they don't let everybody into their circle or whatever because they just know somebody's looking for a reason to downgrade them or get them in trouble with their sponsors, or just because they didn't get what they wanted, they're going to call them a dick or tell them that they're wrong. We need, people need to lighten up, man.
Sure.
I mean, it's just so much of that. Just all day, someone comes off the track. I had to break up a fight in pit lane today.
Give me a second. Sorry, y'all can edit it, right?
Yeah.
Piss myself.
No, I was getting close. Don't worry.
I'm like, I could probably hold it. My face is gonna be like eyes squinting, start rattling my chair over here.
What could we do?
Talk shit about the Browns.
Fuck the Browns.
Fuck the Browns.
Let's talk shit about the Ravens. They suck too.
I can't believe our offensive coordinator still has a job. Our defensive coordinator, we fired him, and he's doing great over in New York.
Yeah?
Yeah. I just don't get it.
Who do you think's going to the Super Bowl?
I think at the end of the day, it's going to be the Bills. I think they'll figure it out unless Josh Allen's elbow is all jacked up. NFC, who knows?
My prediction this year is the Bills and the Niners.
I like the Niners a lot.
I think that's who it's going to be.
I don't know how much I trust Jimmy G, but I trust Kyle Shanahan's offensive scheme a lot.
Jimmy G is a lot better than people are giving him credit for, but he's not great. He's not a Josh Allen or Mahomes or, Eli Manning, Peyton Manning. He's not one of those kind of quarterbacks, but I think he can keep the team together and play good ball. I don't know, man. Bills and Chiefs in the AFC Championship for sure. That's the way I see it, and that's going to be a barn burner.
Yeah.
If it comes down to those two teams making to the AFC Championship, that is going to be a really good game. I think it'll be Philadelphia and San Francisco in the NFC.
I'll go with I think Dallas is pulling it together for once in their life. I think it'll be
once
Dallas.
in their life, bro. They've got 5 Super Bowl championships.
In the past, once in my lifetime.
Yeah, Dallas is looking good. So we were talking about, while you were gone, football again. Back to football. Who do you think's going to the Super Bowl? The first question. Top AFC, NFC. Realistically, it's not our teams.
I am not a Cowboys fan. Their fans piss me off, quite honestly. But I think they got a really good shot. Their defense is good, and to be transparent, I'm not an NFL buff. Don't get me wrong, I'm diehard Panthers, but I'm not the kind of guy that watches every game that's on my local stations on Sunday. Right. So when the Panthers are done, if I got yard work to do or I need to, get stuff done or whatever, that's what I'm gonna do. But, just from watching highlights, seeing who's on a roll, I think the Cowboys probably are the NFC, in my mind, the NFC leaders at this point. And then you mentioned Von Miller leaving the Broncos. I mean, obviously the Bills have lost him for the season.
They say that he might be back.
Really?
Yeah, they might. They're thinking 1 or 2 games.
I think the Dolphins look hot at times, but they've never been there with the crew that they've got. So I think some experience probably plays somewhat of it. I don't think McCarthy is the best coach in the world, but he has won a Super Bowl. He's been to the postseason many times. He's got that experience to draw from on the Cowboys side, but you know, it's hard to bet against the Chiefs. So I'm thinking Chiefs and Cowboys.
It's very interesting, the Cowboys and Indians there.
Yeah.
Which would be really cool. So as an AFC West football team fan, I hate everybody else in the AFC West.
Yeah.
But of course I would love to see the AFC win the Super Bowl, just because I want to know that we're the strongest division.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Or the conference. I think it's going to be Chiefs and Bills in the AFC Championship. I think Bills go, and then I think I told him I think it's Niners and Philly, and Niners go. That's what I think. But I think Dallas definitely has a serious shot. Like they're in it too. I could have definitely been off a little bit by choosing Philly over the Niners, or over Cowboys, or off by not choosing Cowboys over Niners. But NFC is pretty stacked this year. Do you college ball? You got it in college?
I watch the significant games.
You don't have a team that you
No.
follow or anything? What about?
I graduated from UNC Charlotte, and shit, they didn't even have a football team until like 5-6 years ago. 7
I didn't
years
even know
ago.
they had one.
Yeah, my point.
Yeah.
You know, so being that my alma mater is not a football school, you know, growing up in North Carolina, there's no.
You guys are normally Duke or Carolina fans.
Yeah, that's the basketball, right? I
Right.
mean, you know, Carolina's been ranked this year, had a pretty good season. They're playing in the ACC championship games. I'm not saying they're a bad school, but it's just not their thing, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, being a Carolinas-ish type guy, I mean, Clemson's who locally we pull for and watch and keep up with, but I watch the significant games.
That's interesting, though, that you would cheer for Clemson over like a NC or NC State or something like that.
I think a lot of it's you want to pull for a winner, right?
Yeah.
So if you don't have ties to a school because you went there or your parents went there or, you know, that kind of thing,
Yeah.
you just kind of pick who traditionally
Would you follow basketball?
has a chance.
College ball?
Yeah, I mean, we follow it.
Are you a fan
Tar
of
Heels.
You're a Tar Heel fan?
Yeah, so when it comes, you know, during basketball season, it's Tar Heels, and that's what I was raised on. So like, my grandfather was a huge Tar Heels fan. You know, my mom would watch a lot of the games, probably more than I would, honestly. But never really played it as a kid. I'll watch March Madness, but other than March Madness, I don't watch many college basketball games, and don't watch many college football games unless it's you hear about that marquee matchup. You know, like a
Ohio State, Michigan,
or like when
stuff like
Tennessee
that.
played Alabama, or you know, Ohio State, Michigan, Auburn, Alabama, Clemson, Gamecocks, that kind of stuff. So
That's 1 week a year, though. That's rivalry.
it is 1 week a year. So that might be the only week that
Yeah.
I'll dedicate to watching some games on purpose.
Yeah.
So,
So, you said you golfed earlier? Like you go out and golf with buddies, whatever.
yeah,
Occasionally?
yeah, 4 times a year, maybe.
That's more than me.
Yeah,
I wish I could.
So in my line of work, we get a lot of golf invites. I don't always go, but you know, I have contractors ask me like, "Hey, you know, you play golf?" It's like, what's your definition of like playing golf? You know, so like, if you mean be quiet while you swing and you know hit balls in fairways and that kind of stuff, no, I don't play golf. If you mean like we drink beer when we ride around and we laugh
Chase
at
balls
each other and we talk shit and we hit balls in the pine needles and don't even go look for them because we don't care and just drop a new one in the green grass,
Right.
then yeah, I play golf, you know. But, you know, on a serious note, I hit the ball really well. Like Evan Vale could tell you. I played with Evan, Cameron, and Pace one day. We met in Charlotte and played up. And I hit the ball really good, but I can't score well. You know, there's a big difference.
Oh, yeah.
So when you should hit one club not as far to have a better position of your next shot, I'm like, nah, dude, I'm just hitting a driver because I like to swing it,
Right.
hit it, let it fly, and hopefully it goes where – hopefully I go over the trees like I try instead of going straight and then dog-legging it kind
Right.
of thing, right? So, you know, do I have fun playing? Absolutely. Am I good at it? Some days. Some days I might be a high 80s kind of guy, which
Jesus.
is not good, but it's better than a lot of people, right?
If I can break 100,
yeah.
I'm happy. And I don't play golf to keep score. I play golf to not lose balls.
Yeah.
So if I start with a full box of balls, 12 balls or whatever comes in a sleeve, a box, if I count, my day is based on how many balls I lost. If I go home and only lost like one sleeve out of that box,
It was a good day.
that's a great day, dude. Like, that's amazing.
Yeah, if I keep a legit score, I'm not talking mulligans or, move it here, move it there. Like, if I play it where it lies and play a legit game, I'm low 90s most of the time, high 80s on, like, a good day.
That's good. I mean, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Like for like work games and stuff like that, just going out with, like you said, with people that invite you out. I'm generally like in the low 120s, but when I get to the 100, just under 100, and that's like hoist me up on shoulders. I'm a champion type day for me, But I love playing golf. Before I started Beach Hobbies, I was doing graphic design from home. And you want to know?
Yeah, where they at?
I got you, bro. And mountains are still blue. I got it from the ghetto gas station right down the road. There was a cop out front, and some form of a semi-crackhead girl walked in, and she was crying, and she was looking at candy bars, and I was a little uncomfortable. And I bought a case of beer and left as quick as I could. But yeah, so I used to do graphic design from my house, and literally would like drink beer and play Call of Duty and wait for somebody to send me a job. And I was making really good money. And my neighbor, he was retired, and we were playing 2-3 times a week.
Yeah,
But I still sucked. Even when I was playing 2 or 3 times a week, I was not catching on.
And I'm the kind of player where I've had a lot of people say, man, if you played as much as we all do, you could probably get pretty good. And it's like, maybe I could. Because in high school, I was a pretty good baseball player. Like, I got the ability to see a ball, hit the ball, that kind of thing, right? But again, that's probably why I hit it well, but I don't score well just due to bad decision making. And I'd rather be 140 yards from the pin than 40 yards from the pin. Because at 40 yards, I can't take a full swing. I can't just hit it. It's finesse.
The technical side.
It's the technical finesse side of golf that I just suck at. And, if I'm 40 yards away and I blade it, I'm 70 yards away on my next shot.
Right.
From blading it over the green kind of thing. But, a lot of people that make the comment, oh, if you played more, you could probably get pretty good. And it's like, well, I just don't want to.
Right.
I have fun when I do it, but I have other things on a weekend that are priority to me before playing around a golf.
Right. Which are still fun or still important. Playing golf is just one of those things that it's an acquired taste because people play it all differently.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got people that, like you said, they just take it super serious and they keep score and they're like, oh, dude, if you walk back and it's like, hey, just put me down for a 6, they're like, no, dude.
I saw you hit it 7 times.
Yeah. Like, that's an 8. And I'm like, okay, whatever. But then you go with your buddies and you're like, dude, I don't even remember what I shot. And you try to count it back and it's like, fuck it, just put a 5 down,
Yeah, and they don't care.
No.
Right.
But, I mean, those are the days, obviously, me personally, I don't count that. Like, I just say, that was a fun day. We were in nature. We heard the birds. The grass was beautiful.
Yeah.
We drank a lot of beer. Like, that's the fun part.
It's a fun day.
Right. And we can have that same amount of fun racing RC cars.
Yeah.
As long as you do it the right way. Yeah. And it goes back to the same thing. It's a cycle. I try to tell people all the time. It's like, you're doing it wrong. Spend all the money in the world. You're doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You're not going to buy yourself another 2 seconds on the track. But what you can do is buy yourself an experience you'll remember forever.
And you're especially not going to get 2 seconds on the track thinking that another car that you don't have is the reason you're 2 seconds a lap slower. I suck with this car. I'm going to go get that car. And oh, damn, I still suck. So,
here, hold my radio and you tell me how good it is.
But I get laughed at a lot for my clubs too. Like, they're 30-year-old Craigslist specials, right?
That's awesome.
And like, why don't you get new clubs? I'm like, because people 30 years ago were still shooting under par. You know why? Because they know what they're doing. it's not the club, it's the operator.
Right.
So I guess same thing in RC, you know?
Very much so.
Like you've got your newest and latest and greatest engine, but I'm still running an M3X.
Dude,
Who says I go faster with the new engine? Because I have my own personal limits, and it ain't the engine, you know? So.
I was so gutted at Wicked Weekend. I blew up my my M3X, which was the first one I got when I started the distribution of Ultimate. I was using it all the way until this Wicked Weekend. I mean, literally 3 years old or more. Yeah. And it blew up. And I was looking at it today because I hadn't taken it apart yet. I just threw another engine in. And but yeah, I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. It was great if you take care of your stuff, you know. But I get what you're saying. People can get wrapped up in the flashy new shiny stuff, and we need it as businesses, and we don't want people just to constantly use the same old stuff. I mean, technology does get better. There are better stuff. You and I are on a different level. We go for the different reason. You know, we want to do well, but we know that our equipment's good enough to do well. We don't have to go to our equipment. Probably will supersede our ability.
Yeah, my equipment is better than what I can drive.
Right. So for us, you know, at the age we're at, we're not like, I need to have the newest one, even if this one's still good.
Yeah.
We're good with using what we got. You put a David Olson or Cole Ogden and these other young fast kids, yes, they need the next 10th. You know, those guys need that, in my opinion. I'm never going to be at that level to expect a product to make me faster. If I'm not putting in the work, the product's not going to do shit for me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's priority. You know, I won't go buy a new set of golf clubs, but you know, I walk into my local gun range and they're like, check out this latest new whatever. And it's like, yeah, I'm going to buy that.
Yeah.
You know, because to me, that's cool.
Yeah. Give me a tutorial. Let's see what's going on here.
Yeah.
So you're the Region 3 team manager for Team Associated and Reedy, like together.
Yeah. It's all
a package.
Yeah. All under one roof. Yeah.
So you manage basically the regional, not 100% guys, mainly like the...
Yeah, it's called a regional development team. And the development, it is about driver development, but it's also just about brand and product development as well. So the direct drivers that I oversee or sign on or let go due to inactivity or whatever reason, which I've never let a driver go due to performance or personal reasons. It's always been, hey man, you haven't raced in 3 years. We got drivers interested. They deserve a spot, in my opinion. And you know, I'm not going to carry 40 drivers. You know, it's just not fair to the brand, not fair to people who are trying to earn a spot to let somebody that hadn't raced in, 3 years. Which, do I race as much as I used to? No, but I'll make the significant events in my area enough to be able to support the guys that we bring on that need that coaching and that help and that support and stuff. So, the regional development purpose is for us to be more grassroots, local level support, local level, finding that talent, that kind of thing, because obviously, Brent can't be everywhere at every track in every state to realize, hey, this next person could be somebody we need to look at.
Right.
So it's really, for me, it's like two different avenues. One is that young kid who looks like they have potential. Maybe doesn't have a sponsorship with anybody, or maybe they're running a certain car and have just maxed out. And maybe they're told, we can't support you any more than we are now, but you think that person's got it in them. And I'll use Evan Vale, perfect example. So Evan was with Mugen, and it was one of those things where it's not my business to know, but I think he felt like I'm at a point with Mugen where like I got all I'm going to get, right? And I was like, let me see what we can do. Come on at this level, put in your time, do well, like we think you can, and you've been improving. And he goes from that local teenager fast guy to regional and RCGP podiums type fast guy, right? So, sure. Evan's a textbook example of take that kid who's the next guy, or not the next guy, but a next guy, potential type driver. There's a bunch of them. We could go on and on with people who have come out of the program, But the flip side of the young kid who has the potential is the veteran racer who may never win a race, but he's worth putting on the team because he's smart, he's willing to help, he's good for the brand, races a lot. So the best guy at the track is who somebody can go get help from.
Yeah.
Not the guy who's going to win. You know, so not to say there's not ground between it, but that's kind of my target driver is somebody that I could help groom up to get faster. Reach their potential. You know, I'll use Maddie Long for an example. You know, year ago we signed up the whole mileage and
they are
Long
killing
group.
Dude.
You know, and you know, Maddie's somebody that, you know, I've coached her on the radio and watched her and tried to help her and that kind of thing. And, you know, she's moved up from sportsman to intermediate, which even at these big races, intermediate, I mean, it still has some fast guys, right?
Stacked.
Or people, shouldn't say guys, but fast people. And, you know, that's the kind of scenario of you've got Rusty, who is a veteran, speaks well for the brand. They look the part, they act the part, they race the part. But it's not a what wins on Sunday sells on Monday.
Right.
Right. So, you know, we've got several guys who, you know, are older than me, but have raced a long time. And even though they're not in the winner's circle, a lot of people still go to them for resources and help and knowledge and questions. And when you can take a not built correctly car and help that newbie out, and now all of a sudden you didn't change your setup. All you did was go through the car and fix everything they may have built wrong, or getting the trim set, getting the toe set, showing them what dual rate and a radio actually does, and how to use the functions of the car and getting it right. And they go out and they go a lap faster, and you didn't change nothing on the setup. You didn't even put a new part on the car. You just fixed what was already there. They appreciate that.
Right.
Right. And that's the stuff that keeps people in your brand, you know, longer, or entices them to leave one brand because, hey, my buddy at the track just got better because he got help from these guys. So if I get that car too, I can get help from the same guys, and they're going to help me out the same way they help, you know, other customers out. So
how long have you been the team manager, or the region team manager?
The program started, I want to say, I'd have to look at when I opened my Facebook account, because I never had Facebook until they started that program.
Wow.
And Brent was like, yeah, we're going to kind of do everything through Facebook. Or I was like, oh man, I don't even have that, you know? So I think it was probably 2011, 10, 11, somewhere in that range.
Okay.
So I mean, it's been over 10 years.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think, but I don't know if there's anybody else that has done it since the inception. So, I mean, whenever they created that program, Brent approached me about doing it, and I was like, yeah, sure. You know, it sounds good, and just been doing it ever since.
So do they have a regional manager like you in every region of Roar? Like, is that what they have or what they want?
That's basically how they set it up. So it was kind of like, how are we going to do this? So it was basically determined that it'll be easiest if we just assign a person per Roar regions. And not that Roar is the godsend that determines what's the best areas, but it just made sense because no region is just overly big.
It was already didtated.
Yeah. It was there. It was the easiest thing to follow.
Yeah. Way you didn't have to say, okay, Brandon, you get south of North Carolina. Like, you got whatever Roar region was.
But there are times that we cross the line, and, you know, I talked about Rusty and family. I mean, they live in Virginia.
Right.
But they race a lot in North Carolina, South Carolina, come to a lot of these events. So, you know, if there's somebody I want to get on the team, you know, I just reach out to the person in that area and just say, hey, man, you know, they're in my area a lot. You got any issues with me putting them in, you know, under my group or whatever, you know, the terminology would that be.
Gotcha.
And they're like, no, man, that's fine. You know, if you're the main contact for them, you know, no big deal. And when Blake Boggs was doing the whatever number the region was, but it's basically like Louisiana, Alabama, Arkansas, I think, are the three states down there. You know, I don't get to Alabama very often. I mean, it's a haul. But Blake Boggs lived in Alabama, even though that wasn't technically his region or territory.
Right.
So whenever I got something from driver request or something came in or a reference, it's like, hey, Boggs, you know this guy, girl, you know, whatever. And, you know, if so, it was more like, hey, if we put him on, do you want to be their go-to person? And he's like, yeah, I don't have a problem with that. So a lot of the Alabama stuff crossed over into Blake Boggs. And then, like, I have probably 3 or 4 people that are in Virginia that
you got Donnie, little Don.
Yeah, Donnie Jr., you know, I got on, and
the Milliches, and
yeah, them, and you know, Jerry West, Frank Denny. Those were guys that I got on. That they live so close to North Carolina. Yeah. They race more in North Carolina than they do in Virginia.
Yeah, of course.
You know, so the person who technically has Virginia is more of a PA, DC, Jersey, that area,
right?
Which is like the Region 2 of Roar,
right?
So
there's so many tracks in our region right now. Like,
yeah,
I mean, it's blown up.
Yeah.
There's North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia. There's you can race at 5 tracks every Saturday and Sunday and Friday.
Yes, I mean by the book, I've got Tennessee, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Alabama. So,
what is your first off, 16 years with a company like that with Associated, you know, because of the technology and how the ebb and flow is, it's pretty impressive to see someone stay with a brand that long, because you've had really bad years of equipment. Like, there's no denying every brand has where they're behind other brands.
Sure.
So that's when you really see the true colors of not only like a general, you know, a team manager like you, but the drivers who you manage, because at that point, everyone's like, well, we're getting our asses kicked by this brand. You know, maybe I can get a better deal or get on that team.
Yeah.
You know, so loyalty should be one of the highest currencies we have. A lot of people just think of a discount or free.
Yeah.
But the loyalty side of things, I think in the industry, we all need to
and
band together.
Yeah.
You know, even if it's a competing company, it'd be nice if there was some communications like, hey, I'm with Mugen, you're with Associate. I call you up like, hey, you guys let him go, or this guy's thinking about coming over, you know, what's your thoughts? And I know it's tough because we're all fighting for such a small piece of the pie, so to speak.
Yeah, and there's been a big shift in that too, I think, over the years that I've been racing. Just because the whole 50%, 60% discounts and sponsorships, those are all still fairly relatively new in the RC game. And I remember when I started racing, you were either sponsored factory pretty much or just buying stuff like from, you know, Beach RC or the Hobby Stop, like where I mentioned I started my racing at. And you know, it's a struggle because we don't want to have too many drivers. I told you earlier I'd mention names. This is probably one time I'm not going to mention brands as much, but, you know, there's guys in Sportsman, C-Mains, and I mentioned earlier it's not about the results, it's about the ability to help.
Yeah.
But there's people that can't keep their own stuff together. They can't keep their own engine running. They can't represent it enough themselves to be able to help somebody else that have those level sponsorships with other brands, right? And it's like, if you've got a credit card and you race twice a month, like, we'll put you on, sure.
Right.
We don't want to be that. I don't want to personally be that. And that's the struggle where some people set the bar that it should be so easy to get sponsorship.
Yep.
But, you know, Associated's got a long time world-class, world championship heritage that, do we want to expand our team into the non-podium finishers? Sure. You know, that's not a problem, but it needs to be people, I think, that are still well-respected as an up-and-comer or somebody that's well-respected that's been in the game long enough to know that they've earned their keep to be able to get that.
I think that's the biggest thing. It has to be a reason for, other than the fact you're just trying to make another sale. It can't be that.
Right.
I think that's kind of where the line of irresponsibility.
Yeah, we don't want contracted customers.
Right. And I think that's, you know, we're almost everybody in the industry is guilty of it right now at this moment. I know that, like you said, even right now, there's kind of more of a major shift going on where I feel really good about, where people are starting to say, go to your dealer, go to your hobby shop, go to your distributor. You know, we're not doing team stuff. It's tough because I'm part of it. I know what it is. I know what it's like. I know what we have to do because we have to meet marks. We have to, keep the bills paid. We got to keep the employees working. But there has to be someone held accountable for what you're doing. You just can't be like, it's like Oprah, like, you're sponsored, you're sponsored, everybody's sponsored,
I would say, honestly, if I had to take a stab at it, that 1 out of 4 members of our regional team have been from application, reaching out, resumes, somebody who I may not have just walked up to and said, here's something that we have that I'd like to talk to you about, right? 3 out of 4 people probably on average are people that I have identified as good candidates to represent us.
Yeah.
That I've said, hey, would you be interested in this? Here's the advantages of it. Here's why we'd like to talk to you, that kind of thing. So it's more of a hand-selected thing than a, get 20 resumes a month coming across the computer that you're trying to figure out which ones you want. Because
you're old school, and that's the way it should be, in my opinion.
I get a lot of those. I mean, you can imagine how many somebody tells somebody who to reach out to, and it's like, well, I'm just going to send it in. And I'm not naive enough to know that they're sending me one. They're probably also sending every other brand one, and they're going to take whoever offers it, you know, and that's not what we're looking for. And I would say, honestly, for me, I've put more people on the team that are already running the brand,
right,
that deserve to be put on the team because of ability, representation, and the fact that they're already using it. So I know they're going to like it, and I know they believe in it.
Right.
So there's been a lot of people that ask me about it, and I'm like, have you ever driven our car? No. How do you know you'll like it?
Right.
Well, I don't know.
You're a one and done. I mean, you can come in and have a bad year.
I'm like, what if I put you on the team and, you think you're not doing as well as you did last year with brand ABC or whatever, and you automatically think the reason you didn't have as good of a year is because it had to have been the car. It's got to be the car, right? Or, you have a friend that you travel with and he has a, low-level sponsorship with this company, and he beats you for 2 weeks in a row, and now you think it's the car, and you're going to go join his team because they'll offer it to you as well.
Right.
So I'm a firm believer that before you get on the team, you need to know what the product is, and you need to believe in it, because if I offer you a sponsorship in something you don't believe in, you can't go provide confidence to the people asking you.
You're not going to sell it.
Right.
And that's what we sponsor people for. We need you to sell our product. We're not giving this to you because you are, entitled to it. We're giving it to you because we need you to represent this product or brand in a way that it's going to sell.
Yeah.
And that means you telling people about it. That means you running well, taking care of your stuff, helping people, all the above.
Not just help sell it, but help keep the people who already own one continuing to own them.
Right. For sure.
You know what I mean? So, I look at it on the 10 scale side of things. Not that the 8 scale program isn't great. I mean, it's 2-time world champion car, right? But at the same time, you look at all the 10 scale side of it, and the market share is a lot smaller. Or not the market share, that's the wrong word. The amount of cars on the market for 10 scale is a lot less than 8 scale. So down here, there's probably 8 different brands on the racetrack this weekend.
Right.
You go to a 10 scale race, 90% of all cars there are one of 2 brands.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's not about making it known that the car can do well, because everybody knows Associated's 10 scale cars are competitive.
Right.
You don't have to.
They sell themselves.
They sell themselves.
Yep.
But for somebody who has one, you can keep them in that car by helping them with it versus saying, well, I'm going to go try the Losi. I'm going to go try the X-Ray or the whatever latest and greatest one that decides to come out, right? So it's not just about new people acquisition into the brand. It's about retaining the ones who already run it. So.
Yeah. I've got my favorite customers are the people that like to try stuff. And selfishly, it's because those guys don't want to be sponsored. They know, like, hey, if I get into a AE or Kyosho or whatever, like, I have to run that. And they're like, I don't want to. I've got enough money, or, like, this is my hobby. That's what I want to spend my play money with. So I'm going to run this car right now, and a new car comes out with this brand next month. I'm going to run that, and like Matt Starnes, perfect example, like Corey McElveen, like those guys.
Love Matt Starnes, great dude.
Yeah.
But like he'll have a car. 3 months later, you just know he's going to have a new car.
Whatever's new,
And I don't even think for Matt, it's that he thinks one's not good enough and he's going to do better with it. I think he just looks at it like, this is a hobby of mine, and I just want to see what this one's about.
That's what I'm saying. That's why they're my favorite.
Like. Right.
Those guys, they come to the hobby shop. Every hobby shop's got them. They come to the hobby shop. What's the latest, greatest? What's coming out? You get them in. They're like, save me one.
I got some money burning a hole in my pocket. Yeah. And I just want to try it.
And they want to try it. And they might sell it a week later, a month later. Like Matt, it's a perfect example. Some of the shit he ain't even driven. He sells it. Like he just builds it and sells it. But this year specifically so far, and we haven't even started our team building for Ultimate. And I've kind of been on the fence of how I want to handle it because we have a good team right now. Like we're jam up. I think we're kicking a lot of ass. But this year specifically, I've had a lot of people send in emails that already own it. And this is the first year. They've bought it. They love it.
Right.
And they want to be part of it. Before, we had to entice people or try to get them on the team or try to find best regional representation so that we could sell more of them and we could, build that volume up. But this year specifically, it's been like, man, I'm running your engines. Here's my resume. I would love to be part of the team. That's the kind of stuff I like. And you touched on that. And I think we need more of that. It's when the people call, send me, hey, all my buddies are running your stuff. They're all doing so good. I'd love to be on the team. It's like, well, just because they're running good, that doesn't mean you're going to like it.
Yeah.
You have one bad weekend. Next thing you know, Ultimate or whatever engine brand it is the biggest piece of shit out there.
It wasn't, it's not your
never
problem,
their fault.
It's problem.
It's never the racer's fault, man.
And that's what, myself and some of my counterparts in other areas, we kind of talk a little bit about how many people you got, And for me, it's just being a racer that's been in this for a long time. We have to have places like Beach RC successful to have a place to do this, right? So if we go and sponsor everybody just to get them, and they're buying direct from Associated at a discount, but everybody else does the same thing, eventually there's nobody that needs to come into Beach RC and buy something from Brent Densford's small business because they're buying it factory direct, right? And, we've had a conversation recently about tracks that close and why do they close. And a good example is Carolina's RC. Well, Carolina's RC on the surface looked like this great, well-established, very successful hobby business. And I'm not privileged enough to know the details of any of the financials or why it succeeded, why it didn't succeed. But, if I were to count the amount of tracks in the Carolinas that have opened and closed down since I've started racing, like I would run out of fingers and toes. Yep. You know what I mean? And part of it has to be that where are they buying their stuff? These days, it's less and less and less of it that they're buying it from the brick and mortar shops or the place that's providing them somewhere to race, and they're buying it through whoever they're a contracted customer for, whether it's tires, whether it's chassis. I mean, what are the other accessories? You sell them every day.
Motors, servos, speed controls, tires, whatever.
Yeah. So you go get 50% for everybody in the industry. You have no reason to go to your local hobby shop anymore. Yeah. Unless you need like a can of spray paint.
Right.
Or a servo lead extension.
Or to go and sit in there and talk and waste all their time because you just bored. And nothing drives me more crazy than someone coming in and expecting all the information. And we see it all the time. They look on their phone and they're like, you tell them how much it is. And they're like, and they leave with not buying it because they found like they're either their sponsor or Amazon or somebody has it $5 cheaper with free shipping, no tax, whatever. It's tough, man. It's such a low margin industry. And that's another thing people don't understand. It's like they see you, they're like, you're killing it, man. We know you're killing it. But they don't understand like overhead, employees, keeping the newest stuff in, dead inventory because the industry flips so fast and you get stuck because we want to make sure we have everything for that car. And then that car changes in 6 months, and we still have a ton of stock because we want to make sure we have it all the time. You know?
Or the old, I bought this car from you and you made $600 on me. No, I didn't make $600. You spent $600, but that ain't what our shop made.
No,
to sell you that car.
They don't figure anything into that.
Yeah, the public doesn't know what cost of sale is.
No,
right?
Not one bit. Yeah, man, we've been chatting.
What time is it?
So it's late. How long we been, Robert?
Hour 50, basically.
It's perfect. Man, I wanted to have you in here because you're knowledgeable and we're buddies. It's you know, you're a good dude, and we have a lot of similar interests, and I think that a lot of people don't understand. You're just like people like you, and there's a lot of people like you in this industry that you benefit from being a team manager. You know, you get your product, whatever. Like they take care of you, but you have a life. You're not married to the industry through making money. So your dedication and the fact that you're here, you know, to support your people, obviously selfishly for you, you also want to come race and have fun too. But the way you handle yourself, and, you know, I was privileged to be part of, you know, your stuff for a little while. And I think you're a good example of what we need more of, because I don't know a ton of people out there that do it better. You're well respected. You know, you call races. You've helped me. You've done masters. You've been a great resource and help to me. I'm really glad that all of us in this area have you around. You know, a lot of people don't know how much work you do just for nothing, really. I mean, it's tough.
I told somebody I don't even know how it came up, but somehow the topic came up about, you know, what I do for Associated. Like, it doesn't pay me a dime. And they're like, you don't get paid to do that? I was like, no, I don't get paid to do that. Do they take care of me with, you know, product to be able to support racers and support myself and all that? Like, yes. And when a lot of people are like, man, you've been with them, you know, 16 years, like, why have you never left or whatever? Like you mentioned, everybody has a bad period with their car, right? So, yes, there were years where I knew and I felt I wasn't driving the best 8-scale car on the market. But there's nobody else out there who's going to do for me what Associated does for me.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm appreciative of what they keep doing for me and letting me do this. So, you know, to hear somebody say that, you know, what I do matters or that it's respected, I mean, you know, it means a lot, and at least gives me self-gratification that hopefully, possibly I'm earning what I have been provided with versus, you know, people on the other side of it going, well, I don't know what the guy does, and, you know, they take care of him. What's he doing? You know, there's probably some of those people in the industry, right?
Oh, yeah. For every no that you give to somebody to get on the team, you get motherfucked at least 10 times. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, and you do it right, and they don't understand it because all they care about is themselves.
Yeah. But even when you may not have the best platform, and even if other cars at that point may be more advanced or doing better on the track, there are always still people that have that car.
Yep.
There's always somebody to help.
And you're always going to get beat by one. I mean, just the fact of the matter is you're never going to be the best every week.
Yep.
So, yeah, this is good. I'm going to have you back on. We'll, you know, next time you're around or whatever, I want to have you back in. And I know we're going to have more fun this weekend. It's not over yet.
Yeah, I still some work to be done. You know, last year I TQ'd this race. I TQ'd it again this year. I didn't win it last year. And I was telling KB, I can't remember what year it was, but it was always hard to beat Travis Dupree here.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, hard to beat Travis Dupree here. And I TQ'd the Fall Brawl one year in Pro Buggy, you know, beat Travis in qualifying, felt real good about it. Just never got it done on main day. So I was like, other than like an E-Truggy win that I ran one year, like I don't have a first place Nitro trophy at the house from the Fall Brawl. So hopefully tomorrow is it. Just
that haunts me because I had that situation happen 2 years ago. And I qualified 9th. No. I qualified 4th. and it was the year that it started raining in open nitro. And I went out there. I was on JQ car at the time. I went out there. Mike Hill was my pit man. And I went out on gold Ellipse or whatever their bar tire was at the time, probably Ellipse. And I was like, instantly first lap, no. I mean, it's raining. And I pull it in. I was like, we had green reflex ready. So put them on. I went out, did one lap, pulled it in. They took us out to go and start. I led 29 and a half minutes and the left fucking rear wheel came off on the last lap.
I was here. Like I said, I've been to like 17 straight of them. So I know.
One time I was going to win the fall brawl. I had a 10-second lead. Like, it was my year. I had it.
Yep.
So I know what you're chasing right now, man. It eluded me, but
I've got some cool trophies at home, and a Badlands Nitro one is not one of them. So I come down here every year thinking, like, is this the year?
This is the year.
So,
well, good luck and thank you. And yeah, man, keep doing what you're doing.
cool.
Love it. All right,
Man. Had a good time.
we're out. Now I get to pee. Holy shit! I'm like,
I thought you were gonna take a break when I did.
oh, I'm twisting and turning, dude. Like I'm fucking whole. This episode is made possible by the boys over at RaceCraft. They don't suck, and neither should you. So get your pit game on point with the command module, the Wadule, and mini module. Don't forget the flocking amazing pitting accessories or the all-new flock foil that fits nearly every 1/8 chassis and comes in many amazing colors. Use coupon code Wheel and Trigger at racecraft-usa.com for 10% off your entire order. That is Wheel and Trigger with the ampersand at www.racecraft-usa.com. So get on board at RaceCraft. We know how to party and we fuck hard.